Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Today's story is the ultimate reminder that sometimes you don't just leave a toxic job, you have to exercise it. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Toxic employer kept calling me for shifts for 3 years after I quit. So I used to work for a home care agency that was, well, let's just say sketchy as hell, shady with a capital S. Honestly, sometimes I still can't believe I stayed there as long as I did because the amount of nonsense I put up with could probably fill an entire trilogy. But for now, I'll stick to the part of the story that matters. At first, it wasn't so bad. I was assigned to an independent living facility, which meant most of the residents didn't need full-on nursing care, just some medication reminders, light housekeeping, and the occasional emergency assistance. It was manageable, even enjoyable most days. I genuinely loved my residents, and they loved me too. They became like an extended family over time, which made the job feel less like work and more like something meaningful. Then the company started screwing with my hours. One day, without any warning, they hacked away at my day and evening shifts until my hours were so low that I lost my benefits. Just like that, poof. No explanation, no apology, just cold paperwork letting me know I no longer qualified. I couldn't afford to lose my health insurance, but options were limited. Out of necessity, I accepted a full-time night shift posting. It was 12-hour shifts from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m., 4 nights one week and 3 nights the next. I rotated with one other night worker, and honestly, I kind of loved it. Night shifts at an independent living facility are peaceful. The building was quiet, there were no managers breathing down your neck, and the work was straightforward. Here was my typical night. Arrive around 10:30 p.m. to catch a quick report from the evening staff, sign out the emergency keys, organize the paperwork for the next day, set up the dining room for breakfast, toss in a few loads of laundry. Thankfully, we had 5 washers and dryers to speed things up. Do 2-hour interval room checks on around 10 residents. Basically, just pop your head in to make sure no one's on the floor. Answer any emergency pager calls if needed. By 2 or 3 a.m., all the main work would be done. After that, it was mostly just staying awake and being ready to respond if someone needed help. It was calm, predictable, and for a while, it felt like a good fit. Naturally, they had to ruin it. The company decided to hire a new guy and without warning gave him 2 of my shifts and 2 of the other girls' shifts. That meant both of us lost a third of our hours overnight. Worse still, they assigned me to train him and required my sign-off before he could work independently. I wasn't thrilled, but fine. I figured I'd train him properly and then decide if I wanted to stick around. The guy was a walking red flag. First night, shows up at 4 a.m. Shift started at 11 p.m. Nothing like missing 2/3 of the shift on your very first day to make a good impression, right? I flatly told him, shift's almost done. You're way too late. Go home. Second training shift shows up at 7 a.m. Only 4 hours left to work by that point. Next 2 shifts, complete no-shows. Not even a courtesy call or text. When he finally did show up again, it was painfully obvious he had no clue what he was doing and no interest in learning. At that point, I realized it was time to get serious about leaving. I updated my resume and started applying everywhere I could. I landed a better job pretty quickly. Now came the part where I tried to quit properly. For 4 solid days, I tried to hand in my 2 weeks' notice in person. Each time I showed up, the office was locked or the supervisor was unavailable. At 10 a.m. on a Tuesday? Right. So finally, I dropped my resignation letter into their locked mailbox. Later, when they called, I made it absolutely clear the date on my resignation letter was my last working day. Full stop. 2 weeks pass. I'm already working my new job, loving life, when my old employer starts calling me. Can you come in tonight? Can you cover this shift tomorrow? Every time, I politely explained, I no longer work for you. I quit. I already served my notice. And yet, the calls kept coming. At first, it was once a week, then a couple of times a week, then random calls at all hours, 3 p.m., 11 p.m., even 3:30 a.m. I called the area coordinator. I called the regional coordinator. Each time I was told, sorry, it won't happen again. Spoiler, it kept happening. Then about 2.5 years after I quit, I got a call at 4 a.m. from their after-hours scheduler asking if I could cover a night shift. That was the final straw. The next morning, I called their corporate office, and this time I wasn't polite. I demanded they delete my file, delete my phone number, and delete me from every single contact list they had. I reminded them I had quit 3 years ago, and I told them flat out if I get one more call, I'm filing harassment charges. When the person on the other end tried to apologize, I just hung up mid-sentence. No more explaining, no more polite requests. It's been over a year now, and thankfully they finally got the message. If not, well, next time it'll be my lawyer answering the phone. I would have stuck it to them and said, sure, I'll take the shift and not show up. What are they going to do, fire you? And our next story. Company wanted endless documentation before selling us out. I gave them exactly what they asked for. I used to work for a small company which was acquired by a group of investors, did not do a good job of hiding that they're planning to replace everyone with low-skill contractors and sell the company. For all of 2023, they've been pushing us nonstop to update our procedure documentation. Our senior manager announced in FY23 that there will be a monthly quota for procedure documentation. When there was pushback, his response was that it doesn't always have to be complicated procedures or perfect procedure. He was always spouting something about not letting perfection get in the way of progress, etc. I was already thinking about leaving to finish my degree, so I immediately began the application process. But in the meantime, for most of 2023, I met my quota by documenting the most unnecessary procedures. But I gave them corporate descriptions, so it's not immediately obvious. Some of my favorites: how to turn on my computer, accessing information technology resources. How to log onto my computer, utilizing security practices for informal technology resources. How I delete and move files out of Google Drive, allocating digital assets for collaborative processes. How to block your Outlook calendar, automating availability information across teams. How to request new office supplies from Staples, physical asset procurement. Since our team will be let go early in any acquisition pretty early in the process, most of the lower-level managers left or were checked out as they job search. My manager had been so distracted that they never reviewed any of my procedures. I asked for feedback on a few real procedures to make it seem like I was doing what they asked, and basically they simply checked off that I'd been meeting my quota. I left the job in December and have started school this spring, and I just heard from an ex-colleague who's still with the company. They just discovered my procedures. He just texted me and said the senior manager is furious because other people were basically doing the same thing, and now most of our team is left and they barely have anything documented. If you want people to do a proper job explaining what to do, you should probably give them a reason to do it. Or at the least, check that they are in fact doing it. And our last story. Karen kicked me for parking legally in a handicap spot and then got arrested. So I, 24-year-old female, am currently in the hellish limbo of figuring out whether I tore my ACL or not. I'm stuck in a knee brace, hobbling around on crutches, and basically feeling like the poster child for injured but stubborn. While I wait for my official diagnosis, I've been issued a temporary handicap pass because trying to walk long distances right now is a recipe for tears and disaster. This morning I had an MRI appointment, so I drove myself to the imaging center. When I got there, I spotted a glorious wide-open handicap spot near the entrance. Bless. I pulled in, hung my pass, and mentally prepared myself to limp inside without looking too much like a wounded flamingo. Just as I'm reaching for my door handle, I hear someone aggressively chirping behind me, Miss, you can't park there." At first, I thought maybe it was just a well-meaning person confused about the situation. So, trying to keep it light, I turn and say, "I'm on crutches and I have a pass, no worries." Apparently that wasn't good enough for her. Her tone immediately shifted from mildly annoying to full-blown vinegar. "You can clearly walk, and I don't see no crutches," she barked. "Really? Lady, you saw me sitting in my car for all of 0.3 seconds and decided I'm committing fraud?" At this point, my patience was dangling by a thread, so I swung the car door open, yanked out my crutches, which, for the record, are decked out in bright, colorful stickers, because crutches are depressing enough already, and showed them to her. She scoffed. "That pretty crap ain't real," she sneered. "That's just decoration. Move your damn car." The audacity, the gall, the sheer boldness of this woman acting like she was the self-appointed parking lot police. And mind you, my knee was already throbbing from the drive over. I took a deep breath to stop myself from saying something that would get me arrested and said as evenly as I could, "Lady, I'm not moving. I have a pass, I have crutches, I have a doctor's note. Mind your own business." She wasn't backing down. Oh no, she whipped out her phone like she was about to become a viral Facebook vigilante. I could just imagine her video caption, "Handicap fraud caught in action," complete with a million angry reacts. I was not in the mood. "Go ahead and film it," I snapped, "and this crutch is going straight up your butt." Apparently Karen didn't like that. She lost whatever 2 brain cells she was using to function and straight up kicked me. Kicked me! Injured, disabled, on crutches, kicked. I lost my balance immediately because, shocker, I was already unstable and nearly ate pavement trying to keep from face planting. One crutch went flying, and for a moment I was genuinely afraid I was about to tear my already busted knee worse. Lucky for me, and unlucky for her, there was a security guard just across the lot who saw the whole thing. He rushed over, immediately called the police, and started helping me back onto my crutches while glaring daggers at her. Karen, realizing that maybe assaulting a visibly injured person in broad daylight wasn't going to play out in her favor, started backing away while mumbling about frauds and fakers. The cop showed up within minutes. And here's the beautiful part. The entire incident had been caught on security cameras. Every second of her little public meltdown was on tape. The officers didn't even question me once they reviewed it. She tried to stammer some excuse about how she thought I was lying, but shockingly, "I thought she was faking" isn't a valid legal defense for battery. I pressed charges, obviously. No way I was letting someone assault me and then walk away like nothing happened, especially not when all I was trying to do was limp my way into a medical appointment. As the police led her away, she still tried to twist the story, yelling over her shoulder, "This is what's wrong with the world today. Liars everywhere." Okay, Karen, sure, whatever helps you sleep at night, honey. Meanwhile, I hobbled inside, got my MRI, and fantasized about the court date where I would get to see her explain to a judge why kicking a girl on crutches seemed like a smart idea. The fact that she still tried to claim victimhood as she was being carted off, screaming about "what's wrong with the world" while sitting in the back of a cop car? WTF. Also, can we just appreciate the mental image of her pulling out her phone all triumphant ready to film you, only to end up being filmed committing a literal crime? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.